All right, imagine this a bridge, right? But not just the one you drive across. Think a digital replica. And I don't mean just a picture. I mean like a fully functioning twin, updating in real time, cars going over it, weather changes. Even as the bridge gets older, it's all reflected in the digital version. That's a digital twin, and that's what we're diving into today.
Sounds pretty wild.
It is wild. We've got this transcript from Tech Talk Nexus, there's a podcast, and they break down all these complex tech topics, and they did a deep dive on digital twins, so we're going to dig into their take.
Love it when one deep dive leads to another.
Right. So let's start basic. How they actually define a digital twin?
Well, they described it as a virtual version of something real, that bridge you mentioned. A wind turbine. They even talked about a human heart. Point is, it's like a mirror of the real thing, and it uses data to constantly stay up to date.
A constantly updating mirror image. Okay. What's really got me hooked is this real-time data aspect. It's not just like a photo, it's a live updating simulation. How do they even make that happen?
That's where things get really cool. They were talking of the Internet of Things, IoT. So picture tiny sensors all over that bridge, measuring stuff like strain, temperature, how much it's vibrating. All that gets sent back to the digital twin, so it's always evolving alongside the real deal.
So it's not like one super sensor doing it all. It's this whole network, each one with its own little job.
Exactly. Like some might be for how much the bridge moves in the wind, others the stress on certain parts, others the traffic, how fast. All of it together gives this full picture of what the bridge is doing at any moment.
Mind-blowing. And we're just getting started. No wonder they were talking about this huge potential impact, smart cities, healthcare, even how we manage supply chains. It's a lot.
It really is. There are so many applications.
Let's take healthcare. They had this example with a doctor and a patient with a heart condition. Gotta know more about that.
Okay, so imagine this. The doctor makes a digital twin of the patient's heart, right?
Yeah.
A real beating replica. Now they can try different treatments on the digital twin, see how it reacts, and then use that to make decisions about the actual patient.
Wow, so it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach to medicine anymore. They could potentially know if a treatment will work before even trying it on the patient.
That's the idea. Data-driven crystal ball, basically. Right. And this ability to predict and simulate, that's huge, not just in healthcare, but everywhere.
It's like we're not just seeing what IS, we're seeing what could be E. That's incredible. They also talked about the 3 big benefits. Predictive analytics, which we just touched on, but also performance optimization and real-time data integration. I feel like we're just scratching the surface. What about those other benefits? How do they actually work in the real world?
Let's stick with the bridge. Say you're in charge of maintaining it. With a digital twin, you're not just fixing problems. You're using data to see them coming before they even happen.
So less about filling cracks, more about stopping them from ever forming.
Exactly. Imagine running simulations, different weather, different traffic. You figure out the best ways to keep that bridge in top shape. Like maybe you adjust inspection times based on real-time weather data. The digital twin is processing all that.
So not just safer, but saving a ton of money in the long run.
Right. That's performance optimization. You're not reacting. You're proactively managing stuff to make it last longer and work better.
And Tech Talk Nexus also mentioned real-time data integration being super important. So having the data isn't enough. You got to be able to actually understand it, use it, all in real time. What really stood out to me was this idea of the data flow being like the nervous system of the twin. What they mean by that?
So think of those sensors like nerve endings, always sending info back to the digital twin, which is the brain, processing it all.
So instead of like scheduled checkups, it's a constant flow, always know what's up with the bridge.
Yeah, like having a finger on the pulse 24/7. You're not just seeing it, you're understanding it, how it reacts to everything, even tiny changes over time.
This is amazing. But there's got to be downsides, right? Building and managing these things, it can't be easy.
You're right. Tech Talk Nexus didn't shy away from that. They spent a lot of time on the challenges. Data security, privacy, that's a big one. All those sensors, that much data flying around. There's definitely a risk.
Especially with smart cities, right? If we're talking that much data constantly. Kind of scary if you think about it.
Definitely. Protecting it is huge. But it's not just about hackers. It's about using the data responsibly, being transparent, respecting privacy. We need rules, guidelines, the whole shebang.
So tech challenges and the ethical ones. Got to walk that line. And the tech itself, just building these digital twins, that sounds crazy complicated.
It is. Tech Talk Nexus really emphasized that. You need to know the thing you're copying inside and out. Data science, sensor software, it's a lot.
Can't just slap a sensor on something and call it a day. Big investment, time, money, expertise.
Exactly. And that brings up another thing they talked about, scalability. Making a twin for one bridge is one thing, but a whole city, supply chain,
Whole other level. The bigger it gets, the harder it gets, right?
for sure. More data, more connections, more chances for something to go wrong. They made this analogy to an orchestra, actually.
Okay, now I'm really interested.
So think of each instrument as a sensor, right? The whole orchestra, that's your digital twin. If it's going to work, everything has got to be perfect, in sync.
One instrument's off, one musician misses a beat, the whole thing's ruined.
And with digital twins, a small mistake can snowball into a huge problem. You need good planning, solid tech, and a clear vision.
So, incredible potential, but real challenges too. It's like we're figuring out how to use this powerful tool the right way. It's exciting, but kind of scary too, right? All this potential, but we got to get it right. So, based on Tech Talk Nexus, what's the main thing our listeners should take away from all this?
I think it's that digital twins are becoming real, like fast, not just a sci-fi thing anymore. And they're going to change how we do everything, from cities to, well, you name it.
Not just bridges and hearts, then. This tech is going to touch everything eventually.
Exactly. And Tech Talk Nexus really hammered that home. Yeah, there are big challenges, the data stuff, making it all work at scale, but it's early days still. We're figuring it out as we go.
That's what makes it so interesting. We're right on the edge of something huge, and it's up to all of us to make sure it's a good thing, you know?
Absolutely. Tech Talk Nexus made that point too. The more powerful these twins get, the more important it is that everyone understands them, not just the tech people.
Because it's bigger than just tech, right? It's about how we live, how we see the world.
Exactly. So, something to think about. As these digital twins become part of our world, how will they change us? Not just our stuff, but what it means to be human in this digital age.
Now that's a question. This whole deep dive has been mind-blowing. Thanks for joining me. It's been a wild ride into the future.